Myself, Nazia Hasan. I am an assistant professor at TMIMT Tirthankar Mahavir University, Baroda. In the previous sessions, we discussed a lot about cost sheet. We discussed its practical and numerical aspects. We discussed what is material consumed. Now, in order to have more brushed up knowledge regarding cost sheet, today we will cover some more aspects related to cost sheet and which can be identified as like calculation of prime cost and calculation of profit when you have different kinds of stocks are there, finished stocks, work in progress, and how to show these kind of stocks when you are actually preparing the cost sheets. So these are the aspects which you need to cover. So let's start. Calculate computation of prime cost. From the following, calculate the prime cost. Stock of material on 1st April 2022, purchase of material, expenses in connection with purchase, direct material return to supplier, stock of direct material on 31st March 2022, royalty charges, hire and maintenance charges. Now, we will first next find out the solution. We'll write the solution and we will prepare a statement showing computation of prime cost. Now, we have material consumed. Material consumed given in the question, material consumed is not given in the question, but we have discussed in the previous sessions that in or sometimes material consumed is not given in the question, so we need to calculate it with the help of opening stock and direct and add additional purchases and closing stock. Now, in this particular question, you have material consumed, stock of materials on 31st. It is stock of materials on 1st April 2022. Stock of material on 1st April 2022 is 28,000. Next is you need to add purchases. Purchases are 1,60,000. 1,60,000. And if we are given any expenses in connection with the purchases, we also need to add them. In connection with purchases. So, we will add expenses in connection with purchases 20,000. Next is less direct material return. Direct material return, we have 20,000. We need to have 20,000. And less stock of direct material. Stock of direct materials on 31st 3 2022. 35,000. 35,000. Next is after adding these figures, 2 lakh, it is first we need to copy stock of materials 28,000, then we need to add purchases 1,60,000, then we need to add expenses in connection with purchases 20,000. From this we will deduct the direct material if any return to supplier, then we will also deduct the stock of direct material on 31st March 2022, and after that we will get the material consumed, which is 1,53,000. 1,53,000. Now we have to add manufacturing wages. Manufacturing wages are again your direct wages. Manufacturing wages are 90,000. Next is your direct expenses and royalty charges. Direct expenses, royalty charges. Direct expenses are direct expenses are 75,000, which are your royalty charges in itself. Next is your hire and maintenance charge of special machinery. Hire and maintenance charges of a special machinery, which is 45,000. Now, when we will add these things, we will get prime cost. Prime cost is 3,63,000. Now, if we look at this question again, we have already talked in previous sessions regarding the calculation of prime cost, that in prime cost all sort of direct expenses are recorded, and if you will need to understand the prime cost, we need to understand we need to identify that what are the direct expenses given in particular question. So in this particular question, we have clearly identified the direct expenses. We need to first calculate direct material, which is given the material consumed, and we all know material consumed is calculated with the help of opening stock and closing cost stock, or any sort of additional purchases which are being done. So stock of material is first for 22 is 28,000. We need to add purchases 1,60,000. We need to add expenses in connection with purchases 20,000. Then we will deduct direct material return 20,000, stock of direct material 35,000, and finally we will get material consumed 1,53,000. Manufacturing wages are direct wages 90,000, direct expenses. We all know it. These are your royalty charges. Royalty charges, we all know these are your direct expenses 75,000. And finally, hire and maintenance charges of special machinery 45,000, which is 1,20,000 will come up. Now we will adjust all these values and finally we will get prime cost 3,63,000. There are certain expenses we have actually, I haven't told in previous sessions that when we are preparing cost sheet, there are certain expenses which need not to be a part of cost sheet, where because they are the expenses of financial nature. Only expenses which are of costing nature are included in cost sheet. These can be of finance expenses, expenses on issue of shares and debentures, discounts on issue of shares and debentures, and interest paid on borrowings. Intangible assets written off, goodwill, preliminary expenses written off, these are all your financial nature expenses. Then provisions, provision for bad and doubtful debts, provision for investments, etc. Then appropriation of profits like transfer to reserves, proposed dividends, abnormal losses, loss by fire, theft, etc. Capital losses, loss on sale of fixed assets and loss on sale of investments. All incomes, income from investment, profit on sale of asset, commissions and discounts earned, income tax paid, provision for income tax, others, fines, penalties, damages, gifts, present, charity and donations. These are all part of your finance expenses and they are not a part of your cost sheet. So in this particular case, we have included all the expenses of costing nature. If we see in a lump sum, prime cost is the, in a very brief equation, if I have to summarize, it is direct material plus direct wages plus direct expenses. Direct expenses. These are all part of your prime cost. So direct material, direct wages plus direct expenses are all part of your prime cost and we have calculated them separately and this is what we call as prime cost. Now next is simple cost sheet with stock. In this particular question, the following is the information taken from records of RT Limited for the month of April 2022. Stock of material, stock of work in progress, stock of finished goods. First April 22, 34, 22, we have been given all these transactions. Transactions during the month are indirect material, productive wages, indirect wages, purchase of material, other expenses, administration expenses, sale of factory scrap, advertisement, carriage outward, sales. Now, in order to calculate all these things, we need to prepare cost sheet for the month of April 2022. Now, first we need to calculate the material consumed. Material consumed. Material consumed is we need to calculate in the questions. First of all, we need to have stock of raw material at the opening of the year. So we will write it over here, stock of material at the opening of the year, first for 2022, which will be calculated like this. $37,500. Then we will add purchase of materials, which is 1,46,500, and we will get the value of 1,84,000. Next is less stock of materials on 30/04/22, which is 41,250. I think there is certain typing mistake. So we will 1 lakh. It is 41,250. We will adjust these values and we will get the material consumed, which is 1,42,750. Now we have productive wages. Productive wages, we have direct wages 97,500. Next is your, now when we will add productive wages are your direct wages, and we will add prime cost in them, and we will get the value of 2,40,250. Now production overheads or factory overheads is the next name. We will add them. Indirect material, we have 17,550. Then indirect wages, we have 20,900. Next is other factory expenses. We have 24,800. Now we got the value of 63,250. Adding 63,250, we will deduct sale of factory scrap. Sale of factory scrap is 2,400. And after deducting this, we will get the value of 60,000, that means 17,000 plus 550 plus 20,900 plus 24,800 plus 63,250. We will get the, and deducting scrap value from it, we will get the figure of 60,850. Next is, we will add, now when we will adjust these values and we will add these values, we will get the value of 3,01,100. Add stock of $28,700. Next, we will deduct stock of work in progress. Stock of work in progress, which is 30/04/22, we have 23,200. And after deducting these values, we will get work cost. Work cost Work cost is 3,06,600. Now administration overhead. Administration overheads 41,600. Next, after adding administration overheads, we will get cost of production. Cost of production is 3,48,200. $46,400, and we will get the value of 3,94,600. From this we will deduct less closing stock of finished goods. From this, we will deduct closing stock of finished goods and we will get the value of 53,200. After this, we will get the value of cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is 3,41,400. Now next is selling and distribution overheads. We will get advertisement. Advertisement value is 26,500. This we will add. Next is carriage outward. Carriage outward, which is 5,000. Adjusting these values, we will get this cost of goods sold. We will write in a next column for more clarity. Next is cost of sales. Cost of sales, we will get the value of 3,72,900. Now adjusting these values, we will get, we all know sales given to us is 4,35,000. We will get the profit, which is 62,100. So this is what we have prepared in a cost sheet. Now, basically what happens, we are given a simple cost sheet and students always tend to confuse when there is a mentioning of a certain types of stocks in the cost sheet. So to avoid this kind of confusion, we have solved this numerical, and if you have any confusion still left, let me brief up this particular numerical for you. The following is the information from the records of Aarti Limited for the month of April 22. Stock of raw materials, stock of work in progress, stock of finished goods. 1st April and 30th April. Transactions during the month are indirect material, productive wages, indirect wages, purchase of material, other expenses, administration expenses, sale of factory scrap, advertisement, carriage outward, and sales. Cost sheet for the month of April 22. We have material consumed, stock of raw material. We have stock of material for 1st April 2022. We have 37,500, in which we have added purchase of materials, that is 1,46,500, and after deducting closing stock we got the value of 41,250, and after adjusting these values we got the material consumed 1,42,750. After that, we will add direct wages, which is 97,500, and adding material consumed to productive wages, we will get the prime cost. In prime cost, we will add production overheads. Production overheads, we all know, are the overheads which are incurred in the production of a factory. In a production process, we have indirect material, indirect wages, factory expenses, and from this we will deduct, if any in the mentioned question, sale of factory scrap. After that, we will add stock of work in progress and less stock and deduct the closing stock of work in progress. We will get the work cost 3,06,600. In work cost, we will add administration overheads 41,600. We will get the cost of production 3,48,200. Add stock of finished goods 1st April and less closing stock of finished goods, we will get 46,400, and after deducting closing stock of finished goods, we will get the cost of goods sold as 3,41,400. Selling and distribution overheads, we will add all selling and distribution overheads and cost of goods sold. We will add selling and distribution overheads, as we have already discussed. These are the expenses which are related to when we are incurring certain kind of sales, and those interrelated expenses related to selling and distribution overheads are recorded, and that is advertisement, carriage outward, cost of sales, and profit. So all these costs have been recorded, and finally we get the profit 62,100, and this is your sales. From sales we have deducted cost of sales and we get the 62,100 as a profit. Now what we have to do is sales minus cost of sales will give you 62,100. This is all we have got in your cost sheet. See, why we actually prepare cost sheet, and there are many advantages which are being associated with the cost sheet. And cost analysis is very important for any organization. That's why we prepare the cost sheet. It helps to ascertain the total cost and cost per unit, and costs are classified under proper headings and presented in a logical manner whenever we are preparing a cost sheet. So in this particular example, numerical, you can see each and every cost is predetermined, that if any productive wages are to be recorded in your factory overheads, then administration overheads and cost of production, and these are all the things which you have to record while preparing the cost sheet. And each and every cost has a certain specified heading, like you have to record all kind of administrative expenses in your administrating and selling overheads. So these are predetermined rules which need to be followed by preparing the cost sheet, and these predetermined rule always helps in the perfect preparation of a cost sheet. And preparing a cost sheet will always help you in price fixation. It helps to ascertain profit or loss of the stock. It helps in preparing tenders and quotations. It helps in preparing budget. It enables close watch over cost for control. So these are the certain things which you have to keep in mind while preparing the cost sheet. These are the certain rules that what cost will be associated under which heading, and you, an organization, first need to understand the advantages of cost sheet, and proper preparation of cost sheet is of utmost important. So in this particular numericals, our first aim was that usually the student get confused with the adjustment of opening and closing stock in the cost sheet. So in this particular numericals, with the help of this particular numerical, we have tried to resolve that problem of the students. So I hope my effort in this direction of resolving the issues and confusions regarding the preparation of cost sheet have been helpful for you. Thank you so much.